Many are told to try harder, to hustle, to grind. That if they simply worked more, pushed more, and sacrificed more, their breakthrough would come. Perhaps, for a time, you believed it. You put in the hours, stayed up late, repeated visualizations, and recited affirmations like a script. Yet the results often didn't manifest, or if they did, they slipped through your fingers, and so the blame turned inward. You may have thought, "I'm not aligned enough. Perhaps I need to do more shadow work. Maybe I haven't healed enough." Without realizing it, your spiritual journey may have become another form of performance. A high-vibe version of the same old paradigm. If I am good enough, then I will be worthy of receiving. But what if the very act of trying harder is precisely what keeps your desires out of reach? In the quantum field, over-effort does not register as devotion. It signals lack. A subtle but powerful message. I do not have it yet and I must earn it. This is the paradox many seekers face. You awaken enough to see the possibility of change, but not enough to understand that your inner frequency, not external effort, is the key to alignment. You continue to shape the outer world while remaining in the inner state of someone still waiting. No matter how hard you try, you remain magnetically caught in timelines of almost and someday. In the quantum realm, trying is resistance in disguise. You are not pushing toward your desire, you are pushing against your current state, and anything you push against only grows. Consider this. Every thought, every emotion, generates a measurable electromagnetic field around the body. Research from the HeartMath Institute shows that the heart's field can extend meters beyond the body, sending a constant signal of who you believe yourself to be. Imagine that field as a tuning fork. Strike the tone of "I am not there yet," and the quantum field does not respond with what you want. It mirrors that frequency. The universe responds not to your words but to the underlying vibration. You could repeat "I am abundant" 1,000 times, yet if your nervous system resonates with fear, guilt, or not enoughness, that is the signal your field transmits. Effort-based manifestation is a common trap. The field does not read your hustle, it reads your coherence. When thoughts, emotions, and identity are misaligned, the field receives static, and that distortion manifests as delay or frustration. The state of trying stems from a single assumption: I am not there yet. Each time you try harder, overthink, or force alignment, you reinforce the identity of someone separate from your desire. The field mirrors that separation perfectly. This is why progress often feels like a treadmill, so much motion, yet so little shift. But what if that frustration is not a sign of failure but an invitation? What if exhaustion, burnout, or the sense that nothing is enough is actually a gentle nudge to tune deeper, to realign? Here's a truth that many miss. You cannot override your frequency with action. You cannot outperform your vibration. You cannot effort your way into ease. What you can do is tune in, and tuning in requires precision. It's not about doing less, it's about broadcasting differently. When you stop chasing your desire as if it exists outside of you and instead begin embodying the state in which it is already true, the quantum field responds, not as a reward, but because you have become a vibrational match. You have aligned your signal with the version of reality where your desire is complete. Neville Goddard was not being merely poetic when he said, "You must feel the wish fulfilled." He was stating a vibrational truth. Your emotional state is the order you send to the universe. Effort rooted in separation cancels that order every time. Let us gently address a common myth. Hard work alone does not manifest. Alignment does. Aligned action has its place, but most people are acting from fear, from a sense of lack, from the worry of what will happen if they don't do more. That is not creation, it is compensation. That is not flow, it is friction. And the field senses the difference. Your mind may be trying to solve this puzzle. If I don't push, how will it happen? A more useful question is, Who am I being that believes pushing is required? Effort does not originate in the body. It originates in identity. The moment you believe you must try harder, do more, or become more, you identify with the version of yourself who is not yet worthy to receive. That identity becomes the broadcast, and until you soften or release it, the frequency of trying will block the frequency of receiving. Now that this is clear, you are no longer trapped in the loop. The field is always responding, not to who you were 5 minutes ago, but to who you are right now. Take this moment to pause, not to try harder, but to soften into coherence. Release the grip, exhale the tension between where you are and where you think you should be. What if nothing were missing, except your awareness of what is already present? What if your next level is not about reaching, but about receiving? And what if tuning deeper is exactly the shift that reveals trying harder was never the path, only the echo of an outdated paradigm? In the next chapter, we will explore the science behind this shift, how your frequency is the true driver of manifestation, why effort without resonance creates noise, and how to begin signaling the version of yourself that no longer struggles to receive. We have been conditioned to believe that results are linear. More effort equals more reward, push harder, sacrifice now, succeed later. This old operating system is deeply ingrained and rarely questioned. But when it comes to manifestation, that belief is not just outdated, it can actively limit you. The quantum field does not operate according to the logic of effort. It operates according to the law of resonance. And in resonance, more force often creates more friction. Here, alignment always outpaces hustle. Your frequency, not your grind, is what shifts timelines. Let's unpack this with clarity. Every being emits a measurable electromagnetic signature. This is not spiritual fluff. It is measurable fact. The heart generates the most powerful electromagnetic field in the body, up to 60 times stronger than the brain. Research from the HeartMath Institute demonstrates that when the heart and brain are in coherence, a state of synchronized rhythm, your entire field changes. You become harmonized, stable, and aligned. That coherence becomes a clear, magnetic signal to the quantum field. Now contrast that with over-effort. When you push, strive, or stress, even with the best intentions, your nervous system enters survival mode. Fear circuits in the brain reactivate, cortisol rises, and heart rhythms become erratic. Suddenly, your signal is scrambled. You are no longer transmitting from possibility, you are broadcasting urgency. And urgency is not the frequency of manifestation. It is the frequency of delay. This is where many of us unknowingly sabotage our desires. You visualize from a place of "I need this to change." You affirm from a place of "this isn't real yet." You act from a place of "I must earn it." All of that effort emits a mixed signal. In quantum terms, this creates what physicists call decoherence, the breakdown of order in a wave system. In simpler terms, your energy is out of sync with your intention. You are asking for clarity while vibrating in chaos, asking for abundance while vibrating in contraction. And the field reflects exactly that, not what you want, but who you are. Here is the real insight. Action taken from misalignment is not manifestation. It is resistance in motion. Action matters, but only when it emerges from frequency first. Imagine this scenario. Two people take the same action. One sends the email, makes the call, writes the offer. The other does exactly the same. Yet only one receives the result, the synchronicity, the opportunity, the yes. Why? Because only one of them was energetically aligned with receiving it. The action itself was identical, but the field responds to the signal behind the action. This is what most goal-setting frameworks completely miss. They focus on what you are doing, not on what you are broadcasting. They teach you to plan, execute, and push, but rarely to ask, what frequency is this action carrying? Let's take this deeper into the quantum. In particle physics, there is a principle called entrainment, the tendency for two oscillating systems to synchronize. When one frequency is stronger, the other eventually locks into rhythm with it. This is not just a laboratory phenomenon, it is a universal law. Your state of being, when coherent, becomes the dominant frequency in your reality. The field, which is always listening, naturally entrains to it. In plain language, when you become the frequency, the field matches you. You do not chase timelines, you gently collapse them. Now let us bring this into neuroscience. Your thoughts are electrical, your emotions are magnetic. Together, they generate your electromagnetic field. Yet most people think one thing while feeling another. They might think I am worthy while feeling shame, or money flows to me while feeling lack. That contradiction creates incoherence, and incoherence leads to stagnation. The solution is not more effort, it is integration. Coherence emerges when your thoughts, emotions, and actions are unified, when your nervous system stops bracing for disappointment, when your body genuinely believes what your mind is saying. At that point, you are not trying to convince the universe. You are reflecting what is already true within you. And once internal alignment locks in, the external world naturally reorganizes around you. Let us flip the usual paradigm. Most people believe their external circumstances must shift first, and only then will they feel peace, joy, and gratitude. Quantum reality is reversed. You feel peace, joy, and gratitude first, and then your external reality aligns with your inner field. The field does not respond to conditions, it responds to consistency. So the real question becomes, can you hold the frequency of your desired reality, even when the evidence has not yet appeared? Can you stay coherent while your bank account still reflects the old story? Can you remain aligned when the relationship has not arrived? Can you live as the signal, not the seeker? If you can, the field moves, not slowly, not through effort, but instantly, through energetic permission. Here is what is actually happening. When you tune your frequency, you are shifting your identity, and identity is the most powerful transmitter in the universe. Neville Goddard taught that assuming the wish fulfilled is not about imagining an outcome. It is about inhabiting the version of yourself for whom the outcome is already normal. That version does not strive. That version does not beg. That version does not hustle for permission to receive. That version simply is, and the field responds. This is where science meets mysticism, where vibration meets action, and where trying gives way to tuning. In the next chapter, we will explore the core mechanism behind this transformation: resonance. You will discover why you are not attracting what you desire, not because of a lack of clarity or discipline, but because of who you are being, and how to become a vibrational match for a reality that flows effortlessly. You do not attract what you want, you attract what you are. Let that sink in, not as a spiritual mantra, but as a vibrational law. Behind every unanswered prayer, every manifestation that never arrived, every timeline that stayed just out of reach, there is a single pattern: wanting without resonating, hopping without embodying, trying to pull a frequency toward you while vibrating in a completely different bandwidth. This is where so many seekers get stuck, not because they lack clarity or discipline, but because they approach the quantum field like a vending machine. Insert a wish, wait for delivery. The field does not operate on transaction. It operates on resonance. And resonance does not respond to effort, it responds to alignment. The field responds to your identity. To understand this, let us examine the physics behind it. In quantum terms, everything is vibration. Every thought, emotion, object, and outcome carries its own specific frequency. That frequency is like a radio signal. And just like a radio, you do not receive what you desire. You receive what you are tuned into. Think of it this way. If your dream reality is playing on 98.5 FM, but you are vibrating at 88.1, it does not matter how much you want to hear the music. It is not a question of worthiness or desire. It is a question of signal match. The law of resonance shows that only frequencies in harmony amplify each other. Everything else passes through, unreceived. This is why trying to manifest from a place of lack rarely works. Lack is not the absence of having, it is the presence of dissonance. For example, imagine someone affirming "I am abundant" while feeling anxious every time a bill is due. What is their actual frequency? It is not abundance, it is fear. That fear carries a vibration, a pattern, a magnetic field. Regardless of the words they speak, the field reads, "I do not trust there will be enough." That is the identity being broadcast. This is the missing piece most teachings gloss over. Words alone do not manifest. Frequency does. And the most powerful frequency you carry is not in your mind. It is in your emotional body. It is the subtle signature created by your beliefs, assumptions, and unconscious self-concept. If deep down you still believe "I need to earn my worth," "things are hard for me," or "I am not ready," then no matter how much you try to override that with affirmations, the field still reads the baseline signal. In resonance, the dominant frequency always wins. Here is the paradox that keeps so many people in struggle. The more you try to prove you are ready, the more you broadcast that you are not. Effort fueled by fear does not signal commitment, it signals misalignment. The universe does not need your proof, it needs your permission, your full vibrational yes. And that does not come from striving, it comes from becoming. This is why Neville Goddard's teachings go beyond philosophy. When he says "live from the end," he is not suggesting pretending. He is pointing to a vibrational principle. When you begin to identify with the version of yourself who already has it, when you feel, breathe, and act as them, you enter resonance with that timeline. The field, which has no resistance, responds naturally. It does not wait for your request. It simply mirrors the frequency you are transmitting. From a scientific perspective, resonance is observed in mechanical systems, musical instruments, and electromagnetic fields. When two frequencies align, energy flows effortlessly. They oscillate in harmony. Similarly, when your inner world aligns with the frequency of what you seek, emotionally, physically, neurologically, the outer world begins to shift. You do not pull the outcome toward you, you meet it in the middle. This requires a subtle but profound shift in how you relate to desire. Desire is not a signal to chase. It is a signal to tune. It is not pointing to what is missing. It is revealing what is already available if you become the vibrational version of the one who receives it. Resonance removes negotiation. You do not have to convince the universe. You do not have to earn the outcome. You simply become the version of yourself for whom it is already true. Pause for a moment and ask yourself, what is the state of being, the frequency of the version of you who already has what you seek? How do they walk, speak, make decisions, spend time, and respond to setbacks? That is your real work, not to get the result, but to install the state. When your nervous system no longer flinches at the thought of receiving, when your body stops bracing for disappointment, when your energy no longer contradicts your desire, you have reached resonance. And resonance is a point of no return. Once achieved, the outer world naturally adjusts, not through magic but through mechanics. This also carries an important and confronting message. If your reality has not shifted yet, it does not mean you have failed. It simply means something within you is still out of tune. And that is not judgment, it is feedback. Resonance is a mirror. It reflects, it reveals, it guides. Here is a question only you can answer. What version of me does my current reality reflect? And if that version is not the one you desire, you do not need to push harder. You need to transmit differently. You need to upgrade your state, not as a one-time ritual, but as a daily practice, a moment-by-moment return to coherence. That is how you become magnetic, not through effort, but through energetic clarity. In the next chapter, we will cross the vibrational threshold, the subtle tipping point where effort dissolves and flow begins. You will discover what it truly feels like to stop striving, start receiving, and live as the version of yourself who no longer needs to manifest, because you have become the living expression of the frequency itself. There is a moment, subtle but unmistakable, when something inside clicks, not intellectually but vibrationally. The striving softens, the grip releases, the urgency quiets, and in that stillness something ancient rises, a deeper frequency long forgotten yet instantly familiar. That is the threshold, not a place of arrival but a shift in how you exist. Once crossed, reality begins to respond differently. This is not about giving up. It is about giving over, surrendering not to your power but to your resistance. Most people do not realize how much of their energy is spent holding up the old identity, the one who is almost there, who still needs to earn it, who still does not trust. That version is always seeking, always adjusting, always trying to get it right. But trying is the currency of timelines that delay. Flow begins when trying ends. Here is the paradox. Surrender is often mistaken for weakness. But in the quantum field, surrender is a signal of energetic authority. It says, I am no longer entangled with the version of me who struggles. It is the vibrational announcement that you have moved from friction into frequency. Science helps us understand this as well. In brainwave studies, high effort correlates with elevated beta, alertness, stress, constant thinking. Most of us spend much of our day here analyzing, projecting, reacting. But as you slow down and breathe more deeply, your brain shifts into alpha, then theta, states of intuition, integration, and internal alignment. In these slower frequencies, your heart and brain synchronize. Your electromagnetic field becomes coherent. And in that coherence, you become magnetic. What once felt like a wall becomes a window. What once required effort begins to move through you instead of because of you. Flow is not the absence of action. It is action without resistance, creation without contradiction. And it begins the moment you stop broadcasting the frequency of almost and start living as if it is already done. The threshold is not always dramatic. It often comes quietly in the space between thoughts, in the softness of your body, in the shift from what do I need to do to who do I need to be. When you cross that invisible line, something remarkable happens. The field begins to deliver without delay. Calls arrive, opportunities open, ideas flow, not through strain but through synchronicity. And for the first time you realize, you are not manifesting the outcome. You are manifesting the version of yourself who could hold it. That is what no one tells you about the law of attraction. It is not about pulling things toward you. It is about dissolving the version of you who kept them out. That is real alignment. Here is the secret. The quantum field reveals. What you seek is not on the other side of effort. It is on the other side of incoherence. When your emotions, thoughts, body, and energy finally agree, the field does not delay. It reflects. Your job is not to figure out how the miracle comes. Your job is to sustain the frequency where it already exists. And that takes less than you think, but more than you are used to. It takes honesty. Radical vibrational honesty. The kind that says, I am still holding tension around this, or I am still attached to struggle. That honesty is not weakness. It is a tuning fork. It shows you where you are still emitting static. And once you notice it, you have a choice. Return to effort or breathe into trust. Let us go deeper. Flow is not something you chase. It is something you allow. It arrives when you stop pushing against reality and start participating with the field. That means releasing timelines, outcomes, and conditions that do not match your highest frequency. It means being willing to disappoint the version of you who used to settle, so you can step fully into the one who no longer tolerates delay. What does this look like in practice? It is the moment you stop chasing clients and start speaking as the one who is already in demand. It is when you stop journaling your way into love and begin responding as someone already loved. It is when you no longer ask, is it working? Because you know coherence always works. This is the frequency threshold, the moment your vibration begins to shape reality. And here is your initiation. It is not about intensity, it is about stability. Can you hold the frequency even when nothing outside of you is validating it yet? Can you stay in trust while the bank account looks the same? Can you remain open when others still see you as who you used to be? If you can, you have crossed the line, not from effort to laziness, but from friction to flow. And when flow begins, manifestations move more naturally. Not because you have hacked the system, but because you have exited the pattern of delay. You have stopped sending mixed signals, and the field responds with precision. So pause for a moment, take a breath right where you are. Let the tension drop from your shoulders. Let the need to control dissolve. Let the waiting identity collapse. And as a gentle declaration, either aloud or in your mind, affirm, I choose alignment over effort. Let that be your signal, your resonance, your shift. In the next chapter, we will explore the source of that frequency, your identity. You will learn how to recalibrate who you believe you are at the deepest level, and why every outer shift you have tried to force has always been waiting on one inner decision, to broadcast a new self into the field. Every reality you have lived, every timeline you have walked, every outcome you have manifested or missed, has never simply been a response to your desire. It has always been a reflection of your identity. Not who you want to be, not who you pretend to be, but who, at the deepest subconscious level, you continue to broadcast yourself as. This is the original signal, the one the quantum never ignores, the one that magnetizes or repels every possibility you encounter. All roads in manifestation lead back to self. The field does not mirror your goals, it mirrors your assumptions. And the strongest assumption in any life is the quiet, default frequency of who you believe you are. Not in theory, but in biology and vibration and nervous system resonance. Your identity is not a label. It is a frequency pattern encoded in your thoughts, stored in your emotions, etched into the firing patterns of your brain. Neuroscience calls this a neural net, an interconnected map of beliefs, memories, and triggers that shape what you expect, how you act, and what you unconsciously allow yourself to receive. Left unexamined, this map becomes a cage. You do not just live your life, you replay it. This is why change often feels like resistance. You are not fighting circumstances. You are shifting the energetic blueprint of who you have always been. To make it real, if you have spent years seeing yourself as someone who tries hard but never breaks through, your identity has tuned itself to almost. Your body has normalized that frequency. Your cells expect it. Your decisions protect it. Even your dreams are filtered through it. No matter how much you meditate, journal, or visualize, if your root identity is still entangled with not yet, then not yet is the only timeline that can stabilize. Because the field reflects who you have become, not what you are reaching for. This is why effort often feels like self-betrayal. You are taking action from a self-image that does not believe the outcome is natural. Every step feels uphill. Every affirmation feels forced. Every visualization demands more willpower than trust. And that friction is not failure, it is feedback. The identity has not updated yet. So how do you change it? Not through force, not through pretending, but through recalibration. Identity recalibration is not about becoming something new. It is about retiring the version of you that was formed in survival, the one who had to prove, the one who had to wait, the one who wore armor made of pain because it felt familiar. That version did its job. It kept you safe, but it cannot carry you into your next reality. The version of you who receives with ease, who attracts, who flows, who magnetizes miracles, that version lives at a different frequency. And that frequency becomes accessible the moment you decide to stop rehearsing the old one. Let us bring in neuroscience. When you imagine a future event and allow yourself to feel the emotions that come with it, joy, freedom, abundance, your brain begins to rewire. It stops firing according to memory and starts firing according to vision. This is called neuroplasticity. It means you can reshape yourself by installing new emotional signatures. The key is repetition, not robotic, but resonant. Every time you return to the feeling of being the version of you who already has it, and stabilize in that feeling even briefly, you start to collapse the old identity. You reduce its neurological dominance, weaken its magnetic pull. The more you live from the new state, the more the old one naturally decays, not through force, but through vibrational neglect. This is identity alchemy, and here is the real shift. Once you truly embody a new identity, feel it in your body, act from it, speak from it, rest in it, the field does not delay. You are no longer sending mixed signals. Your thoughts, feelings, and actions are unified. In that unification, timelines collapse. This is why the question is not, what do I need to do to manifest? It is, who do I need to stop being? Action without identity is like trying to run new software on outdated hardware. It crashes, slows down, lags. You may see progress, but it will not sustain. The old identity will always sabotage the download. What we often call resistance is really just incompatibility. Here is the quantum piece. According to the observer effect, your attention collapses potential into form. But attention is not just focus, it is frequency. When your dominant frequency is tied to a past identity, your attention collapses past-based timelines. That is why life can feel like a rerun. Different jobs, same insecurities, different relationships, same wounds, different strategies, same ceiling. You do not need new tactics. You need a new transmitter. And the transmitter is your state of being, your felt sense of self, your emotional signature, your energetic posture. Once that shifts, the field recognizes you, not as the one who wants, but as the one who already is. This is why true change does not feel like effort. It feels like remembering. You are not manufacturing a new self. You are tuning into a version of you that already exists, just outside the noise of your current identity. The more you meet them, in stillness, in breath, in imagination, in behavior, the stronger they become, until one day they simply are you. And everything that does not match them falls away naturally, effortlessly, coherently. In the final chapter, you will be guided through a ritual designed to do exactly this. A vibrational recalibration that helps you access your frequency, collapse the old identity, and stabilize the timeline where receiving becomes natural. Alignment becomes effortless, and your reality begins to reflect the version of you that no longer needs to chase outcomes. Because now, you are the signal. You have been taught to chase outcomes, fix what is wrong, upgrade your strategy, to do your way into alignment. But what if the final step is not about stepping at all? What if the frequency you have been chasing has been waiting, not for your effort, but for your permission? Here is the truth every great mystic, every quantum scientist, every awakened being eventually uncovers. The reality you desire does not appear when you earn it. It appears when you match it, not through effort, but through signal. And now, you are ready to access that signal. So let us stop talking about frequency. Let us step into it, right here, right now. If you have made it this far, you are not just here for inspiration. You are here for initiation. This is not theory. This is a vibrational pivot point. You are about to leave behind the frequency of striving and step into the version of yourself who no longer needs to manifest, because you have become the living expression of the reality itself. The frequency access ritual. This can be done sitting or standing. The only requirement is your presence. Step 1, the stop signal. Close your eyes, take a deep, full breath. On the exhale, imagine releasing every version of yourself that was trying to get somewhere. Drop the almost, drop the not yet, drop the how. Let your field go quiet. Inwardly say, I no longer chase, I now choose. Let that choice settle gently like gravity. Step 2, tune into the signal. Bring your awareness to the version of you who no longer tries, the one for whom it is already happening. Feel them not as fantasy, but as a present frequency. Notice their posture, their breath, the sensations in their body. Ask yourself, what is the emotional baseline of this version of me? Maybe it is peace, trust, abundance, freedom. Now breathe into that feeling, letting it gently infuse your chest, spine, and face. Do not force it, just remember it. Step 3, merge timelines. With your next inhale, allow this version of yourself to step closer. And now, step into them. Let their nervous system become yours, their rhythm your rhythm, their identity your new signal. Feel the shift, subtle yet undeniable, like slipping into perfectly fitting clothing after years of constriction. This is not about becoming someone else. It is about returning to who you were before effort became your identity. Step 4. Broadcast from this place. Say inwardly, I access my frequency, I allow my reality to match it. Feel it deeply. Say it not as a wish but as a natural command. This is not arrogance, it is alignment. You are not asking anymore. You are becoming. You are not signaling from lack. You are emanating from completion. Stay in this frequency as long as you like. And when you return, let your next breath, your next step, your next word reflect this new internal broadcast. This is how timelines collapse, not through more doing, but through more being. As we complete this journey, remember, you do not have to fight for your miracle. You do not have to convince the universe. You do not have to prove you are ready. You only need to become a match. And when you do, the field does not resist. It recognizes, and when it recognizes, it responds. Everything that once felt far begins to accelerate. Everything that felt heavy starts to dissolve. You are no longer trying to get there. You are living from it now. Frequency is not something you find. It is something you access. It is already here just like you. Stay in this field. Return to this frequency whenever you need. Make it your new default and watch how the outer world gently bends to meet it. If this activation stirred something real inside you, if it felt like more than content, but confirmation, you are ready for the next step, a deeper embodiment, a full recalibration of your signal. I created something for exactly this moment, for the version of you that is done waiting and ready to stabilize their power. It is an ebook called Awaken Your Quantum Power, a practical guide plus activation designed to help you solidify the inner shifts you have begun here and integrate them in real time. This is not more information. It is a transmission, a daily tuning fork for your field. The link is in the pinned comment. Let it be the continuation of your collapse, where effort ends and alignment becomes inevitable because you are no longer trying to become magnetic. You simply are. Ready to manifest effortlessly. Subscribe now and join our Quantum Manifest community, where we stop chasing reality and start resonating with it.